Good morning and welcome to Lopes on Movies. My name is Joey, and today I am joined by the most frequent guests of the show, the people that have been on the show for probably the past couple of weeks. It's only been these two, and that is, of course, Kyle and Connor.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I put you in an awkward spot there. You guys kind of had to figure out who was going to say hi first.
I mean, I guess we both took about the same amount of time to decide that I guess one of us is going to have to say something.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
It ended as badly as it could have.
What happened is what happened.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of things that you get when you're on Corona quarantine week 2, you know?
Yeah,
We're
I think,
crazy over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of people kind of you know, getting to them. You know,
I gotta tell you, I think. You know, we have to be quarantined. You know, everybody has to stay inside, as many
Lockdown.
celebrities are telling you to do. Lockdown, stay inside. Many celebrities are making sure that you know, but you actually should, even though it's annoying to hear from them that they're telling you to do that. But I think week 2 is better than week 1 for the quarantine. Week 2 feels, I'm getting more into a routine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's you talk to people online, you meet, you have online happy hours are becoming a thing, where you just kind of hang out with people online and FaceTime, Yeah. Kyle, we have to do this. Week 1 was rough though. Week 1 was a huge adjustment.
I was worried about you. I thought you were gonna snap.
My days and nights where it almost didn't matter anymore. Like I was taking just like breaks in between. I felt like I was working the entire day and night and just taking these little short rests in between and then back to work. It was very weird for me.
Not good. Not good.
No, but week 2, getting into more routine. I'm getting used to it, and I think we're gonna have to be getting used to it for quite a while now, especially in
years.
Delaware is one of those states, right? That
the governor, sent down the from on high the big "don't go anywhere" edict. So now all non-essential work not happening. Everybody's staying home until I think the middle of May. I think May 15th or something is the day. So man, we're in this for the long haul, guys. So I hope you're starting to get used to online communication with your friends and loved ones, because
like we're doing right now.
Yeah, like we're doing right now. I mean, this show has always been an online show.
It has. It always has
been doing things remotely.
Yes, we've been preparing for this since we started this show, basically. Yeah. So we have a lot of time now. So people need entertainment, some kind of thing to watch, and they're looking for things. Everybody's always wondering like what to do now, what to watch, what's good, I think we have one today, right, Joe?
Well, I think the best thing that we can talk about on the show today, because I don't think any of us actually watched any movies over the past week.
No.
Again, shirking our responsibilities as movie show hosts. I apologize in advance. However, we have been watching some television, and since we've done this before, where we talk about a TV show instead of a movie, we're gonna do that and say it's fine. So it's fine.
It's fine.
We are, of course, going to talk about the show that I think was the most pleasant surprise of the past couple of months, which is, to me, the 10th season of Curb Your Enthusiasm. So if you don't know what Curb Your Enthusiasm is, then I don't know what you're doing. Like I don't know what to tell you at this point. I feel like you should know what it is, but I will still give you a brief introduction. It is a show that follows the life of Larry David, who you may or may not know was the co-creator of Seinfeld. And it's basically a dramatization of his real life to some degree. And he plays a character not unlike George Costanza from Seinfeld, where, he's just a guy that he's going through life and encountering these little things that get to him, that bother him. But the lovely thing about Larry is that he doesn't just let it go. He has to say something, no matter what it is. If somebody cuts in line up, he has to say something. If somebody is taking too long to make an order in front of him at like a coffee shop or something, he has to say something. So basically, he gets into all of these incredible social situations that a normal person would just let it go, but not Larry.
Yeah.
So
It's
season
actually
10.
it's kind of been called a Larry David moment now. Even it's almost entering the lexicon now.
Yeah, it definitely is. He's kind of got his own brand, so to speak. But this is season 10, and I think if you're a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, you'll know that the wait time between season 8 and season 9 was like, I don't know how many years was it. Like
I mean, I thought the show was done. Like that's how long it was.
It was something like crazy long, almost a decade. Like so the. I mean, a decade is probably exaggerated, but the point
like
being,
5 years or something. A while.
The point is, in between that time, people didn't think the show was going to come back. They weren't entirely sure. Larry didn't seem that interested. But then, lo and behold, a season 9 happened. He had an idea, and they decided to run with it. I think the general consensus on season 9 was that it was pretty good. It was all right, but it wasn't like incredible. It kind of felt like to me the vibe I got from season 9 when it first started was that it had that whole getting the gang back together like vibe.
It did.
Where it's like everybody's back and they're like it feels like they're kind of forcing it a little bit. Like the show doesn't feel as natural as it did before because it's been so long and they have to kind of get back into the swing of things. But there was still some really good episodes. There was some great stuff with Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Those are the highlights.
Those are definitely the highlights of the season. But after that season, it turned out Larry had more ideas, and they decided, hey, let's make a season 10. We'll try something else. And man, I couldn't believe it, but season 10 is just phenomenal. It's like it's better than a return to form to me. It feels like the Larry is at the top of his game with this stuff. It's truly remarkable.
Yeah, he hit he hit so many spots too, like so many topics that to stay timely and just as relevant as possible, which is just great. And we can get into some of them. Kyle, what did you think of season 10?
I agree. It was fantastic. It was probably the best season in a decade. Since the last season.
I was trying to say this I don't know if it's just because it's I just think I've talked about this before, recency bias, but I think it might be my favorite season of the series. Like it's
definitely up there.
It's so strong, just
really
all
is.
the stuff that they do. Yeah,
it really is. I mean, I feel like I haven't watched the older seasons of Curb for a while because I was kind of like the Curb Your Enthusiasm was one of my lunch shows. I'm eating lunch, I throw on an episode of Curb. But that was like forever ago that I finished like seasons 1 through 8. And then season 9 came out, I watched that, and then now season 10. But it really feels like there aren't any misses in this season. Like this season just feels like it's just one phenomenal episode after another, with just and the thing that's so crazy about it to me is that Larry is still managing to keep his shtick fresh, in spite of the fact that his shtick is like incredibly, like, I don't want to say predictable, but it's like every situation in Curb, what's going to happen as soon as the setup is presented to you, and you're just sitting there waiting for like the moment of like cringe devastation to take place.
Yes.
But it hits every time because there's something so authentic about the performances and just the comedy and the writing and the cast. Just this season was incredibly just unique, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
he got a lot of celebrity guests this season.
Oh yeah,
the guest
stars
all of them made an
were
impression.
Great. Yeah, I mean, there's always your regulars. There's Ted Danson is always in Curb. Yeah, I think he's just friends with Larry, and he's been doing it forever. Cheryl Hines, who plays his ex-wife, first his wife in the series, and then his ex-wife now in the show. Richard Lewis, who's great. Jeff Garlin also. Those are the regulars, but then there's some tremendous guest stars, and the best one being John Hamm, of course.
Oh yeah,
it's just
100%.
Yeah, John Hamm's episode was that's an all timer. That's going in the history books, man.
Yeah, that's a thing. Legend. So how do you want to do this? You want to? Because we can go a couple of different ways here. Like why Curb is so good, and then how it even exists in the first place. How did Larry David get to this? Like or do we want to go and talk about just the season in general, or like some of the stuff that he does to like keep it juicy, keep it relevant?
Well, let's
Or-
start at the beginning, because I kind of
Alright.
want to, maybe we can get some context here for why this show in particular means something to us. So me and Kyle, and I think you too, Connor, but it doesn't come up as much with us, are the kinds of people that routinely make Seinfeld references in daily life.
It's
I
just
can tell
constant.
you, Joey, I kind of live that life now.
Yeah, that's
in
that.
New York.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
It's almost spot on the way that Seinfeld is. Yeah, you keep going. Go ahead.
My point being, like, Seinfeld is probably my favorite like sitcom ever. My favorite half-hour show that's ever existed. It's something that's just, even though so much of the humor is based on mid to late 90s like situations with mid to late 90s technology and everything, it feels timeless. There's something about it where you can watch a situation where, like, George drives too fast and Jerry can't see his car and they can't follow each other anymore. Obviously that can't happen today because of cell phones and GPS, whatever, but like the performances and just everything about the way that they handle that situation, it's like you're there. You don't have to worry about the situation feeling dated because it's just so authentically portrayed. And of course the crux of Seinfeld was always that team between Jerry Seinfeld and Larry David, who for the first 7 seasons worked together on the show and wrote the episodes with a writing team and were the producers of the show and everything. And to me, it's those first 7 seasons that are the meat and potatoes of Seinfeld. And the fascinating thing is that once Larry David left the show, which he evidently was threatening to do every season, he was like, this is my last one. I can't do it anymore.
Because he's nuts. He's like his character in Curb.
He is. He's a lunatic. But he actually left at the end of season 7. And you can tell instantly when Larry's gone that it's a completely different show. Like season 8 and 9 are, like, they're still funny, but you get that, like, it's Jerry without the Larry.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Jerry without the Larry is, you lose some of the, I guess, like, social frustration element of the show.
It kind of just becomes like wacky.
Yeah, it gets very
Yes.
wacky. And again, it can be very funny. There's some fantastic episodes.
There's still some solid episodes.
There absolutely are. But it definitely feels like they started taking the show in a more kind of ridiculous direction. And especially George, who was very heavily based on Larry. Without Larry there, his character definitely felt a lot different in the later seasons. So to wrap this up, the point being, Seinfeld is something that is, something that means a lot to me in my daily life, which is unfortunate because, I'm 25 years old, 26 years old now, and the vast majority of people I interact with, oh man, they just don't get my Seinfeld references. It's like the saddest thing in the world when, you're trying to, you say like the classic line from the Keith Hernandez episodes, I'm not driving him to the airport. I'll say that, and everybody will look at me like I'm an idiot. But it's like, I'm not an idiot. It's a hilarious line. Listen to me. But no.
I'm Joey. Yeah.
There are there are more people than you think, Joey.
Oh, I know. Seinfeld
know
is still like a huge show. It's just the point. The point is, me and Kyle feel like we always feel like kindred spirits in this world where we're the only two that recognize our Seinfeld references together.
And we really are. No one else gets
It's kind of like a
references
prerequisite
ever.
for me. Like, I can't really have that kind of really close relationship with somebody unless they totally get Seinfeld.
Well, that's the question. It's like you ask them, like,
this.
what's your favorite sitcom from the 90s? And if they say, like, Frasier, then they're just a weirdo. If
no.
Frasier
is good too, but different.
Well, yeah, I'm saying favorite. Okay, I'm saying
right,
favorite.
True.
If you say your favorite sitcom from the 90s is Frasier, then it's like, okay, whatever. Sure. If you say Friends, then we're not friends. And if you say Seinfeld, then I shake your hand.
Yes.
And
okay. This is a very good. This is kind of a cool distinction that you're making right here. Is what you were saying about Seinfeld is that I think it holds up tremendously well. I know that, like, it's using 90s technology and things that aren't all around anymore or are kind of dated. The interactions are still work. Whereas, people might disagree with me on this, but I don't think Friends holds up. I think it doesn't work the same way to me, like Seinfeld does. It just has a resonance about it that is still so relevant and so awesome about it.
I feel like the minutia of daily life and social interactions is just something that is impossible to not find funny if handled correctly in like Larry David is able to do it. I don't think there's anybody in the world that can break down the social order in the way that Larry David does it. And that's the timeless element, I think.
Yes.
That makes Seinfeld hold up. Whereas something like Friends is more about the relationships between the characters and stuff. So there's it to me there's less of that like really funny element. It's I guess I don't even know what to say about it because I'm not a Friends fan. I've never been a guy that understood Friends, and I recognize that there's a massive amount of people that do love Friends, especially even in our age group. Just because Friends was like massive on Netflix, so people there's just one of their binge watching shows. It's like Friends, The Office. Those are the two. So
yeah,
but yeah.
So but we do have some Friends news that. Darn, they were going to have that big Friends reunion,
No.
And the coronavirus has suspended that.
Oh my God, David Schwimmer's dead.
No,
No, he's okay.
Oh, okay.
He's fine. But he's probably not going to get his $10 million paycheck or whatever they were paying them to do this.
Ah, that's fine.
I think they'll be okay.
They're still going to get their... Don't worry. They're still going to get their $10 million to do this reunion that's going to be mediocre. Don't worry. Yes, Jennifer Aniston still looks good. I know people.
All right.
I'm well aware.
To bring it back to Curb. So the thing that is interesting to me about Seinfeld is that I really kind of think there are two spiritual successors to Seinfeld that happened after Seinfeld ended. And it took a while for them to kind of crop up. But the two are, of course, Curb Your Enthusiasm and Always Sunny in Philadelphia. And I feel like those are the two. They went in different directions, but I think they both kind of keep the spirit of Seinfeld alive. So I don't know. Do you guys agree with that? Do you think that makes sense? Because that's kind of where I've always thought about it.
I like that. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think Curb definitely feels more like Seinfeld, and you can feel like you almost feel like half of Seinfeld in Curb. It's we almost exactly half, which is interesting. The way the sharp writing is, and it's all social interactions is what Curb is. Yeah. So, and then Always Sunny is also tremendous too. I mean, Kyle, I wanted to speak on that one. Like that's one of our favorites.
Always Sunny is a fantastic show. It has like, I don't know if it's not the same feel, but you can definitely see the inspiration in Always Sunny from Seinfeld. It's just a group of relatively awful people getting themselves into hijinks.
Right, but it accelerated more so.
Always Sunny is like legitimate awful people doing these things.
Like there was always an undercurrent of narcissism to all the characters in Seinfeld, but it was definitely like an undercurrent, whereas what they did with Always Sunny was just kind of took that undercurrent and brought it to the forefront, where it's like there's no question about it, and it's just an understood fact of the show that this group of friends, if you could even call it that, are just the worst people ever.
Yeah, they're almost more like it. Other than friends, they have to be together because they have no choice. Like that's what it feels like to them because the shenanigans that they get into too is just excellent. Yeah, but those are two tremendous shows.
So it's good to me to see that the spirit of Seinfeld does kind of live on in two shows that are. I think probably the best comedies of the past 2 decades, whatever you want to call it.
I agree with that.
So to bring it back to Curb Your Enthusiasm, just because that is the most recent one that we've been watching. So this season, man, like what do you guys think was your favorite like little moment from this season? Just so that we don't want to spoil everything if you haven't watched it, but if you have an HBO subscription, please Don't think that just because it's in its 10th season that Larry has lost his edge. It is as sharp as ever. But let's just try to think of a couple of little moments that really resonated.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many. Kyle, you wanna go?
No, you can start.
All right, sure. I mean, I also just love the one thing about Curb, just in general, Curb Your Enthusiasm, is it's unapologetically about a filthy rich man who just is going about his life and all the little annoying things that bother him. Money's not a factor for him. He's rich. Doesn't matter. It's referenced all the time in the show. He doesn't hide it or anything. There's jokes. There's a joke in this season about how he's not going to go see his girlfriend who breaks her leg skiing because he can't get a trip in first class, so for that day, so he has to go the next night or something. Like, because he's like, when he finally gets there, she's like, "Oh, well, I called you. You said you were going to come right away." He goes, "Well, they didn't have any seats for me." And then she's like, "What does that mean for first class?" It's just great. It's unapologetically about a filthy rich man who just is going to go about his life, but the inconveniences that bother him. That's one. Well, I mean, there's so many.
Building off of that, the whole crux of this season, like the arc of the season, is that Larry is building what he calls a spite store.
Yes.
Because he goes to this coffee shop, Mocha Joe's coffee shop, and as Larry does, he voices his frustrations with the coffee shop. He has a wobbly table. The coffee doesn't come to him at the right temperature. He does the nose test. He sticks his nose in the coffee to verify that it is too cold because it would have burned him otherwise.
It's the only way to do it.
And Mocha Joe he gets a little upset. Then calls him bald or something, which Larry does not like, and throws him out of the store, bans him from the store. And out of spite, Larry decides to open a store right next door, with the express purpose of putting Mocha Joe's out of business. Just open up his own coffee shop that's better than Mocha Joe's out of spite. And the thing that's so lovely about that is that for Larry, this whole thing means nothing. He doesn't care about making money off of the store because he's a filthy rich man who doesn't need any more money. He's just doing it because he has the resources to actually make it happen.
Right. He has the ability to fight back against something that, he felt was a problem.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't want to spoil much about it, but as you get towards later in the season and the store actually opens, like, oh man, that is a phenomenal coffee shop. His ideas were so revolutionary.
Oh, yeah. They might have had some other problems, but you'll have to watch to find out. But yeah, it's just it's great. Yeah, it's fantastic. And so he has that story arc throughout the entire season, and this is kind of what he does with all these seasons of Curb for the most part. I think at least maybe the last 7 or so is there's one story arc that happens throughout the season, but then every episode are still individual stories. Mm-hmm. Storylines that it can be watched on their own, which I think is kind of unique now also, where you can just watch any episode of Curb and you won't be lost or anything. There's no story like that you have to follow that, throughout the whole thing where you, it's just standalone, which is kind of cool and refreshing also. It's, there's not a lot of these. Yeah, it's this, and it's Always Sunny. Kyle, what's one of your favorite scenes?
Well, I gotta say, right off the bat, the season, really sold me. And it just took one little joke. But when Jeff Garlin was mistaken for Harvey Weinstein, I knew this was going to be a great season. Because I was like, okay, they're back. They got the comedy working. Yes. It's going to be great.
exactly.
That was so wonderful.
That's what I mean. It's timely.
Yeah. No, yeah. It keeps it fresh. For sure. It kind of the thing that you were saying, where every episode is standalone. One of something me and Kyle always talk about is the friendship reset in Curb. Yeah. If you could talk a little bit about that, Kyle, because I know that you're a big fan of that one.
Well, it's just the idea that at the end of an episode, Larry pretty much burns down bridges with everyone he knows, close friends, family members. It doesn't matter. They all hate each other. But then, next episode starts. Oh, hey, Lair. He's immediately forgiven. The stuff that happened maybe 2 days ago, it's not a factor anymore. Yeah, and it's
always forgotten
it's just
about.
Fantastic. Yeah,
there's that old adage about sitcoms from the back in the day was that you need to start somewhere and end where you started, so that every episode can be watched out of order for syndication. Right, that was the point. Mm-hmm. And the idea with Curb is that at the end of a typical Curb episode, it feels like a point of no return. Because Larry has done something absolutely irredeemably awful and ruined so many relationships with so many people. And yet, that in the next episode, those people are just his friends again, and it's like like everything's fine.
Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong.
So
there is one
wonderful.
character though that doesn't happen, and that's Leon Black, who is played by JB Smoove, who is just the perfect addition to the series when they added him in like the middle of its run, I think, right? Where he's just kind of Larry's buddy.
It's like season 5, I think, or something.
Yeah,
like
and he's been like a fixture ever since. I've tried to remember how he started. I think Larry was housing like a family from like
they were
after Hurricane Katrina.
After her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is so long ago now. And
I know.
Leon Black just never left. He used to stay at Larry's house.
Yeah, he's just Larry's buddy. They just do things together. Yeah, I saw a good tweet the other day that was just like, I thought about Leon and just started bursting out laughing. Not any particular scene, just Leon, just this character.
JB Smoove can make anything funny.
Yeah, that guy is a genius.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's really cool with Curb also is there are scripts, but there's a lot of like finesse to it. Like that's why people love acting on the show, like doing guest spots, because there's no lines really. You have to say this. He'll tell you, all right, we have to get here and here, but you can call me whatever you want. You can blow up at me. Say this, and you can see in the scenes so often this because a lot of the show is Larry and his agent Jeff Garland, who's Jeff Green in the show, where they can't keep it together the whole time. They're just cracking up delivering their lines. They can't, or they're just talking to each other because it's so funny. They can't, and they just leave it. They don't care.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's just there's a
great
joy in the show. They just love making it, but it's the kind of thing that's like I said in the 9th season, it felt like getting the gang back together, kind of getting things like up and running again. But now in the 10th season, it's like full on confidence they're back. It's a wonderful thing to see. So I hope all of you guys, while you are locked down in your houses, will consider maybe giving Curb a watch, because I really do think this season especially is really special. And after every season we say that the same thing happens. Everybody asks, is there going to be another one? Well, maybe.
We have no idea.
Actually, the funny thing that I will say, just to end this, after the end of every season of Curb, like the end of every season of Seinfeld, Larry said, I don't want to do another season, I'm done. We're finished. And then like a couple months go by and he thinks, well, I got some ideas, maybe we'll do another season. But the one thing that was interesting was that at the end of season 9, Larry was immediately like, oh yeah, we're doing another.
Oh, interesting.
So like think about it. Like this guy, his confidence is back.
Yeah.
Yes.
He is honestly working at the top of his game, and man, I hope we get more Curb. So everybody, thank you so much for watching or listening. I guess this is not much to watch. We will see you next week. Stay sane out there. And remember to keep yourself busy. Don't get too stir crazy like Connor.
No, I'm good now. My first week was not good, but no, get yourself into a routine. Get used to things. Still try to get some exercise inside. Turn your garage into a gym or something. Do something.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.